It's hard to choose which programming language you will use when you are starting. There is a large amount of languages and may be hard to decide which one to start learning. We can think that a programming language it is a tool that the programmer uses to communicate with the computer. Why does the programmer want to communicate with the computer? Okay, the programmer wants to communicate with the computer to give it instructions to perform a specific task. Programming languages are a form of communication between the programmer and the PC. In each language, there are some specific rules called syntax, and this syntax is unique in every programming language. Some programming languages have more difficult syntax than others, so this might be other important thing to consider when choosing a language. Let's first talk about the programming languages a website has. With HTML you put the basics. I mean the text, the paragraph, the titles. Then with CSS you put the style, the colors, the animations. HTML and CSS aren't actually programming languages because they don't have logic, they are just a marker. So the logic of a website is made with JavaScript. Let's see an example. With HTML you put the title, then with CSS you put the color, and then with JavaScript you make that when you click the title it will go to any place on the screen. With CSS, HTML and JavaScript you make what is called the front end, the client side. But for example, if you want to sign up in Instagram, you will have to call the server. So for things related to servers, database and that kind of things, there is the backend. The languages of backend are PHP, Python, Node, etc. If you work with both frontend and backend, you are called a full stack developer. Web developers also may use what is called a framework. So a framework is a tool that provides a ready-made component or a solution that are customized in order to speed up development. Examples of these are Angular, React, Vue. I know I told you many things and maybe you are confused, so I am going to summarize everything I was talking about, but you have to subscribe, okay? Subscribe right now please, I am starving. If you wanna learn web development, you have to learn, first of all, HTML, with which you put the basics of the website, the titles, the paragraph, the images. And then with CSS you put the styles. You can become an artist with CSS, okay? And then with JavaScript you put the logic. JavaScript actually should be your first programming language because CSS and HTML aren't programming languages. Let's move on what I really know. I know about making video games, okay? There are a lot of programming languages, there are a lot of game engines you can use to make your video games. But the three most used are Godot, Unreal Engine and Unity Engine. I talked about Godot and Unity in a past video, okay? As I talked before, you notice that in web development you have to learn some programming languages that are similar. All web developers have learned the same things. But in game development there are a lot of more options you can choose. Which one to use really depends on your purposes. I mean, if you want to make an ultra realistic with RTX, post-processing effects and so cool things, you can use Unreal Engine. Why? Because, for example, with Unreal Engine, Fortnite was made. Or just the opposite, if you wanna make 2D games very simple, you can use Godot. And then Unity. What I really like about Unity is it's in the middle of Godot and Unreal, because it isn't as difficult or as powerful as Unreal, but it isn't as simple as everything as Godot is in the middle. Godot uses GDScript as the main programming language. You can also use visual scripting, in which you don't write code, you just have some visual interfaces and weird things, I think. In Unity you use C#, and in Unreal you use C++. One incredible thing about Godot and the language it uses, GDScript, is that it's based on Python. So it's really easy to understand its syntax, and you can learn it in just a couple of days. Whereas C# or C++, you have to really study them. You can even make pretty simple, really simple games in Python. But definitely, if you wanna make real good video games, you should use a game engine. In addition, if you are starting, you probably not have a pretty good PC, so Godot is really low resources. You can make it run in an old PC. But in video games development, there isn't just one perfect tool that everyone uses, because for example, Fall Guys is made with Unity, but Fortnite is made with Unreal. So yes, you can see that there is not one engine, one programming language that is used for every programming language, for every game created with a programming language, I mean. Again, you should start to learn whichever complies your necessities, your purposes. So, which programming language should you choose? You should ask yourself, what do I want to do? I want to make web pages, video games. Do you wanna be freelance or be hired by a company? Yes, it is definitely very hard to choose one programming language. But if you chose the wrong programming language, you can learn other, and that's all. All programming language has a connection with each other. That's because of the syntax we talked in the beginning of the video. I think the most important thing is to know what do you want to do. If you want to do a website, don't start learning C#. You can do a website with C#. Or if you want to make a game, don't learn HTML, don't learn JavaScript. And for example, if you are starting to learn how to make video games, don't start at the same time to learn, I don't know, web development. First, you have to focus on just one or two programming languages of the same thing. You can't be learning game development while you're learning web development. You're going to forget concepts, you're going to, I don't know, to lose the syntax, you're going to lose everything. So yes, step by step. First, for example, learn video game development. Then, if you have learned a lot of video game development, yes, you can learn obviously web development. But please, in the beginning, just focus on one thing. I want to make a portfolio, I want to make a blog, okay, make it, but don't start making other things. Okay, I hope you liked the video, I hope it was helpful to you. And if it was, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, okay? See you in the next one, bye bye.